Hello indie game fans, new releases were backed up because of the Steam Next Festival, so here's a solid week of releases, beginning with Fight Crab 2, a quote-unquote fighting game in which you play as a human mounted on top of a giant crab who wields all sorts of weaponry in physics-based chaos. The sheer absurdity of this game is a draw in itself, in which there are over 9 different weapons and skills to use, from giant swords to flamethrowers and more, looking like one of the most ridiculous indie games in a good way, so I'm all down for this.
After 10 years of peace, the evil Dimer has returned.
This next title is quite a curiosity, since for some reason, they have decided to use the CDI Zelda games as inspiration in Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, in terms of the art style in the animated cutscenes, which isn't exactly the most gorgeous, but has good pixel art in gameplay. As such, it definitely got my attention, and I honestly don't know how this will be received, but that's one of the reasons to love indie games, since developers are willing to take risks like this.
Backgrounds, animated scenes,
My goods will improve your fortunes, so long as you improve mine.
an outstanding original score, and talent from previous interactive adventures. Good! This will be a journey you won't want to miss.
Love indie games? Sign up to my newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course, weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. This next title is of interest since FROGUE is a turn-based platformer, and yes, you did not hear that wrong, since this flips one of the most basic and popular genres in the 2D platformer and adds their own twist. We are jumping from surface to surface as the frog and attacking enemies, having to get out of the way of enemy projectiles, but strategically using your ability to freeze time as well. This comes to us from the developer of similar turn-based roguelites in Red Ronin and Undergrave, so maybe this will be the refined cumulation of those ideas.
Raxes are free from my spell and threaten to ravage our world once more. With this power, you will have command over time.
This next title might not be an indie game, since it comes to us from a mid-sized developer and is being published by Quantic Dream, in which Lysfanga, the Time Shift Warrior, is a good-looking action-adventure game with a tactical time manipulation twist. You're able to create clones of yourself and to fight beside an army of them, where clone creation in any game can be tricky to get right, so we'll have to see how this fares. Still, it sure looks pretty and looks like it has potential, with its Steam Next Festival demo being positively received as well. This next title has been getting a lot of attention since SpellRogue is a roguelite deck builder that has Slay the Spire roots, but in which dice play a central role. You're rolling these objects and slotting them into your cards to augment their abilities, looking like a clever twist on the formula, and is also being published by Ghost Ship Games, best known for Deep Rock Galactic, so they must have seen something interesting here. Smaller games begin with ASTLIBRA Gaiden, the Cave of the Phantom Mist, a paid DLC and side story to an excellent action platformer RPG, and it's a standalone 20+ hour story of a different character, where more of this game is always welcome. This week also sees the release of Epic Party Quest, a local multiplayer party game for up to 4 players, in which the players work together to take on a variety of enemies in various scenarios and minigames, but is actually set in a world of peace, in which the adventurers are meeting up in a tavern and reminiscing on old times. But each, of course, has a slightly different memory of what happened, being a fun setup for a game like this. We also have the Steam release of Goat Simulator 3, 1+ year after its release on the Epic Games Store and other platforms, in which the second entry in this chaotic physics sandbox simulator ratchets up the hilarity and absurdity and is fun with friends. Here's a curious asymmetric multiplayer game in Lightphobe, which pits gun-wielding soldiers against melee weapon-wielding Lightphobes, but it is not as imbalanced as it may seem, since the Lightphobes are invincible in the dark and must be exposed by a special light source before they can be killed, meaning that the size of the aura of the soldiers will be very important. Having a classic capture versus defend the objective kind of game mode and looks intriguing, but player population will be a concern. Just a quick one here in the console ports of PlateUp, which is essentially roguelite overcooked, where you're working together with your friends to serve your customers, with roguelite style choice of upgrades in between levels and a restart when it's game over, with the developers announcing recently that they sold 1.5 million copies on PC alone, which is quite the feat. I'm not the biggest adventure game person, but I do have to give props to The Adventures of the Black Hawk, a Scum engine point-and-click adventure game that sure looks like The Secret of Monkey Island, but with an almost Zorro-like main character and is the hidden gem of the week.
The Dark Majesty has vanished.
The top 5 begins with Solium Infernum, a 4X strategy title set in Hell, in which you choose an Archfiend and battle the others for control over the Infernal Throne, after the Prince of Darkness has vanished and left a power vacuum. Apparently, this is a remake of a game from 2009, which I did not play, so let me know if you did and what you thought of it in the comments below. But this is from the people that made Armello, who recently underwent some significant layoffs and paused development on their early access title Jumblight Odyssey, and it looks like the success of this game might make or break the studio. Surprise! I bet you were not expecting not one but two mentions of Deep Rock Galactic in this video, in which Ghost Ship Games have really built off the success of the co-op first-person shooter to spin up a publishing arm to presumably fund these other games and to get added diversification in their portfolio, with of course Deep Rock Galactic Survivor being a Bullet Heaven spin-off of the original, but is being made by Funday Games. Similar to Vampire Survivors, you will be facing off against hordes of enemies, but has a more mission-oriented structure in which you have a specific objective to accomplish and then have to extract to get out to safety, looking to have the same dopamine-releasing gameplay loop that make these games great. If you're an indie developer and have no idea how to start with marketing your game, get on my mailing list via the link in the description below, where I'll send you some free templates and guides soon. As mentioned in my video on the Steam Next Festival, if your game is a Metroidvania, chances are it will end up on my channel, with the psychedelic looking Outros being the title of interest here. This is set in a place known as the Sarcophagus, the self-described cosmic uterus that holds an ancient demonic being, and since you're trapped in the loop of a black hole, you have to explore this location and to learn more about your place in the universe. Looking interesting, but it's difficult to parse visually, but I do love this genre, so I'll be keeping an eye on this. As mentioned in my Hidden Gems recap of 2023, as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to appreciate puzzle games even more than I previously was, since the potential to hide secrets and the joy of discovering these seems more apparent in this genre, with the 3D open world title Islands of Insight looking like a massive entry. This has over 10,000 puzzles, over 24 different puzzle types, of line puzzles, match 3, and even environmental and spatial ones, looking like a puzzle lover's dream game. And for some reason, it's a shared world experience, so you will see other players running around as well, and I'm very curious as to how this will do. I just talked about Lords of Exile in my video previewing upcoming action platformers, and not a minute too soon as well, since this long in development title finally got a release date on Valentine's Day of all days. It looks like a classic Vania inspired title, down to the protagonist being different shades of orange, but as a floating familiar companion for added firepower, along with some interesting looking bosses, so get this for your throwback fix. A special mention goes to Patreon member and indie game ultra fan Sean H, and you have to watch this video to find out about the other 34 upcoming games in this genre.